Good morning and welcome to the Mobile Device Manager Plus training program. So this, as you all know, we are affected by a serious pandemic and because of which all of us are staying home. I am conducting this webinar from my home. So I would request you to excuse any background noises that you may hear during this session. Let me introduce myself. I am Harshita Sharma, a product specialist at Mobile Device Manager Plus, and I will be your trainer for today. This is a 3-week training program that helps us understand the various features and capabilities of Mobile Device Manager Plus. And we are in week 1 today. In today's session, we will see the various enrollment methods that are available to onboard these devices and how you can apply corporate configurations to ensure that they securely access your corporate data. In the next week, we will deal with app management and device security, where we will talk about the different methods of simplifying installation, update, configuration, and uninstallation of application, and how Mobile Device Manager Plus helps secure data and devices in your organization. This will be followed by the third and final week, where we will take you through all the capabilities of Mobile Device Manager Plus that facilitate modern management of Windows 10 and Mac devices. In case you miss any of these training sessions or you wish to review the details of the session that was covered, you can use the link given below the table to access the videos. So let's take a look at the agenda for today's session. We will start off with the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. This section is important for those of you who are not very familiar with our product. So here we will take you through a general introduction about Mobile Device Manager Plus, followed by the architecture and the ports that are required for communication. I will also show you how exactly we manage our devices. Mobile Device Manager Plus provides various enrollment methods that simplify the onboarding of devices. So these enrollment methods will be discussed and categorized based on the enrollment process for devices that are already with your employees and the ones that you have recently purchased for your organization. This will be followed by how you can apply corporate configurations that are required for secure access to your corporate data. I will also show you how you can containerize corporate data in case your organization has a BYOD deployment. The last section for today would be how you can restrict access to your corporate Exchange accounts. So once a user has their credentials handy, it becomes easy for them to use an unauthorized device to access their Exchange accounts. And I will show you how MDM allows you to prevent such unauthorized access. We will be ending today's session with a few scenarios and their solutions. So let's start off with the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. So Mobile Device Manager Plus allows you to manage mobile devices and tablets running on iOS, Android, and Windows devices. In addition to this, we also allow you to manage laptops and desktops running on Apple and Windows 10 and Chrome OS. Mobile Device Manager Plus is available as an add-on to Desktop Central, which is our unified endpoint management solution. But if you're looking for a solution to manage only your mobile devices, you can take a look at Mobile Device Manager Plus, which is a standalone on-premises and cloud solution. If we have any MSP solutions in our audience today, please check out the Mobile Device Manager Plus MSP, which is also available on-premises and on cloud. Now, we understand that no organization can function with just one application for managing your devices. And that is why we extensively integrate with a lot of other business tools that are usually have used in organizations. So we take care of integrations with various help desk solutions, including our own in-house application, Service Desk Plus, and other third-party tools such as Spiceworks, Jira Service Desk, Zendesk Support, and ServiceNow. Additionally, we also integrate with Zoho CRM and Zoho Creator. So here, as you can see, these solutions can be used to create and develop applications and go ahead and silently install them on your devices. Now, if the tools that you use in your organization is not available in this list, you can go ahead and make use of the public APIs. These publicly available APIs can be used for integrating with other third-party applications. Now, let's take a look at the Mobile Device Manager Plus architecture. It consists of three main components: the server, the notification services, and the devices to be managed. The MDM server uses these notification services to wake these devices. And after that, the devices automatically contact the MDM server for any more information and the task to be performed. Now, as you all know, these mobile devices are not going to be in your network at all times, which means your MDM server needs to be available from outside your network as well. And that is why you will have to NAT your internal IP address to a public IP address. This will facilitate the communication of devices from outside your network. But it could also raise a few security concerns in organizations. And that is why we also allow you to configure a secure gateway. This secure gateway acts as an intermediary between the devices and the MDM server and ensures that the communication is routed through it, thereby securing your MDM server. Optionally, you can also configure an Active Directory, which will simplify user assignment and authentication. One point I would like you guys to note is that these settings are not required if you're using Mobile Device Manager Plus on cloud. Now, as you saw from my previous slide, that there is a lot of communication that is happening in this particular architecture. And that is why we require a few ports to be opened to facilitate this communication. Now, in case of device to Mobile Device Manager Plus server, the port 9383 needs to be opened. Similarly, here are a list of the essential ports that need to be opened for communication. For a complete list of ports that need to be opened on the Mobile Device Manager Plus server for communication, you can access it from the link given below the table. Now that we have seen the architecture and how the ports facilitate the communication, the question arises is how exactly does Mobile Device Manager Plus manage these devices? And so let me show you how that is done. So in the case of Apple, Windows, and Chrome OS, we leverage the native MDM client that is already present in these devices. Whereas in the case of Android devices, we have to install an MEMDM app on these devices that we are managing. This way, the communication happens between these devices and the MDM server for management. So now that we have taken a quick look at the overview and how exactly everything happens on Mobile Device Manager Plus, let me start off with the first section of today's session, which is enrolling mobile devices. So let us assume that I am the IT administrator of an organization named Zilker, and I have a lot of devices to be managed. While some devices are already in the hands of my employees and they are already using it, some I have recently procured for my organization. Now I will be using Mobile Device Manager Plus to manage all of these devices. But before I start doing that, let me give you a walkthrough of this particular product so that it would be easy for you guys to follow it during this particular session. So this is the training server, or where the console is, where you will be able to manage your devices. So this is the home screen. And here you have a graphical representation of all the different devices that you're managing, the owners of these devices, and the apps that are installed on these devices as well. In addition to that, you will be able to see the different actions that have been performed on the server and by which user they have been done. Also, you have a segregation of the different devices, that is whether they have been enrolled, whether they are inactive, which is nothing but whether these devices have recently contacted the MDM server or not, and also the devices with blacklisted apps. The next tab is the device management tab, where you will have all the device management activities available. So here you'll be able to find the app repository from where you can go ahead and distribute applications to your devices, the remote control tab for remote troubleshooting, the content management tab for distributing content to your devices, and a lot more. The next tab is the inventory tab, where you will get granular details about all your managed devices. So as you can see, you will be able to find the information about all the devices that you're currently managing, along with the exact location of these devices. Moving forward to the next tab is the Enrollment tab. As you can see here, this is the tab that we will be dealing mostly in today's session. So here you will have different methods of enrollment that are available listed on the left pane and the devices and their status of enrollment. Mobile Device Manager Plus also provides multiple predefined reports. So all you need to do is just click on the report to see all the different segregation of devices. You can also schedule these reports to be sent to your inbox directly. And then is the Admin tab where all the admin settings can be performed. And we also have the Support tab with information on how to reach our support techs. Also, in case you are stuck anywhere while using this product, you can hit the button on the bottom right corner, which will take you to a live technician and they will answer your questions for you immediately. So now that you're familiar with the product, let's start off with the first segment of today. So we will be dealing with how to enroll devices that are already in use first. And Mobile Device Manager Plus has two options for that. One is enrollment with invites and the other is self-enrollment. Before I take you through how to perform these enrollments, let me tell you why these are essential and what are the benefits of using these enrollment methods. First thing is you will be able to isolate your personal and corporate workspace. This will ensure that there is no communication between your corporate data and personal application. Then you will also be able to restrict the sharing of corporate data between your unauthorized apps, devices, and third-party cloud services. You will also be able to prevent unauthorized data access on these devices. So now that we understand why these methods of enrollment are important, let us see the first enrollment method, which is enrollment with invites. So this is a diagrammatic workflow of how this enrollment process works. The first step is that the admin needs to send an email invite to the user. The user then accepts this invitation, scans a QR code available, or accesses the enrollment URL from the device that needs to be enrolled. After which they need to perform a few enrollment steps to get the device registered with MDM. So let me show you how you can perform all of these steps using Mobile Device Manager Plus. So I'm just going to go back to my console and click on the Enrollment tab. So as you can see here, you have a list of currently enrolled devices. And let us go ahead and add a new device right now. So I'm just going to click on Enroll Device. And for my example today, I will be considering an Apple iOS device. But one point I would like to inform you guys here is for managing Apple devices, you need to configure an APNS certificate. So let me show you how you can do that. So on the console, first click on the APNS certificate tab right here on the left. So as you can see here, I have already configured an APNS certificate for this particular console. Let me show you what are the steps involved in a different instance. So as you can see here, the first thing that you need to do is you need to download a vendor signed CSR. This CSR must then be uploaded on the Apple push notification portal. Once this is done, a APNS certificate will be created by the portal and given. So once you have generated that, all you need to do is go and upload that certificate. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this particular APNS certificate will expire in 1 year and it has to be renewed for continued management of your devices. Therefore, provide the email address of the person that needs to be notified when this APNS certificate is about to expire so that they can go ahead and renew it in time. So once you have configured the certificate, all of that information will be available right here on the console. Now that we have verified that an APNS certificate is configured, let me go back and continue with my enrollment process. So I'm going to click on Enroll Devices and select iOS devices here. So now there are two options that I have available. I have an option to send out these invites to my end users and allow them to complete the enrollment process. But in case if I feel that they are not technically adept, or if I would like to complete the enrollment by myself, I can go ahead and choose the by myself option. This will display the required QR code and OTP for authentication on my server itself. So let me just show you how that happens. So as you can see here, the QR code is available right here along with the OTP. So all I need to do is scan this and go ahead with my enrollment process. So let me show you how you can do this on the device end. So on the device, once you access the QR code, an MDM profile will get downloaded and installed. So I'm just going to click on continue, and you will be informed that we are trying to download a configuration profile. So just click on allow. And once the profile is downloaded, Apple mandates you to go ahead and initiate the installation on your own. This is because they would like to ensure that we verify the profile that has been downloaded before installation for security reasons. So I'm just going to click on profile downloaded. And here I will be able to install it. So as you can see here, it's an MDM profile that I had just added. So I just click on install and trust this particular remote management. Once I do that, the enrollment process will be completed. Now, when it comes to sending out invites, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. One is that these invites are specific for individual users and device, which means one enrollment invite cannot be used by another user, and that the OTP expires in 7 days. So these can be considered as a disadvantage as well, and that is why you have the self-enrollment option, where all the user needs to do is go ahead and access a self-service portal. The self-service portal will have the enrollment URL, which is common for all of your devices, so they can simply go ahead and enroll their devices. So I'm just going to click on the self-enrollment tab and set up this particular portal. So as you can see here, this URL will be accessed by all of my employees to complete the enrollment. So I need to just copy this URL and make it available to my employees either using my forums or intranet. Now, there are a few more settings that are available while configuring the self-service portal. Here, you can allow self-enrollment for all of your employees, or if you want only selected groups of employees to be able to access this particular URL, you can go ahead and select the AD groups, which means that Active Directory needs to be configured on your device. There is another reason why that is required, and I will tell you that in a couple of minutes. Now, you can also select the number of devices that are permitted per user. Since the entire enrollment is in the hands of the employees, they can enroll as many devices as they want. But that is not something an IT admin requires. And that is why, in case you want to limit the number of devices an employee can enroll, you can utilize this particular option. Since again, as the employees go ahead and continue enrolling these devices, you need to be notified every time there is a new device enrolled in your organization. So as you can see here, I can specify my email address, and every time a new device is enrolled, I will be notified of the same. Now, Mobile Device Manager Plus simplifies management of these devices with the help of groups. This will help organizations add apps, documents, and profiles every time a device is enrolled. So you can, based on certain criteria, you can auto assign these groups to your devices upon self-enrollment. So which means if they are Apple devices that are owned by the organization, they need to fall into the sales department. Therefore, any device that matches this criteria will automatically be added to the sales department, and all of the required apps, profiles, and documents will be distributed to my users. Once I click on Save, the self-service portal or the self-enrollment portal is set up already. So let me show you how the users can go ahead and complete the enrollment. So the first thing that the user needs to do is download and open the MeMDM app on their device. And then they need to enter the server name and the required ports. Once they do that, they will be asked for authentication. This particular step also requires their Active Directory credentials, which means in case your organization does not have an AD, you will not be able to utilize the self-enrollment option. So you can use any of your directory services to go ahead and enroll your devices. And then once it has been successfully authenticated, you can go ahead and click on continue to complete the enrollment. So as you can see here, I have given device administrator privileges and the enrollment is successfully completed. Now, I have taken care of devices that are already with my employees. I also have new devices to enroll. And if I think about doing it using the enrollment methods that we have just discussed, I will first have to complete the initial setup steps manually, and then the user intervention or my intervention is required to complete the enrollment process. This becomes an extremely tedious process. And to simplify this, Mobile Device Manager Plus provides automated out-of-the-box enrollment methods. So in case of Apple, I can utilize the Apple Business Manager. And in the case of Android, I can use the zero-touch enrollment to complete enrolling new devices with minimal user intervention and admin intervention. So what are the other benefits of using these automated enrollment? It allows you to silently install applications on the device once they are enrolled using these methods. It also allows you to lock down your devices to specific applications and hence ensure only the required applications are installed on your devices. It also allows you to manage OS updates on these devices. And it provides a complete support for various profiles and configurations that are supported on those devices. So now that we have seen the benefits, there are a few prerequisites that I would like to discuss with you before I go into how to perform these enrollment. The first is you need to create an account with Apple or Google. And the next thing is that you need to purchase these devices either directly or from authorized resellers. Only if these prerequisites are met, can you go ahead and use these enrollment methods to enroll your newly purchased devices. So let us see the workflow of these enrollment methods. The first thing is you need to integrate the portals with the MDM server. And once the integration is completed, you can go ahead and add the devices to the portal. Doing so will automatically add these devices into the MDM portal because of this integration that we had performed in the previous step. After this is out of the way, the next thing is to distribute and activate these devices. And upon activation, the device gets registered with MDM successfully. So let us see the first enrollment method that automates your enrollment of newly purchased devices, Apple Business Manager. So first thing to integrate, you will have to download a public key from the portal. So I've navigated to the Apple Enrollment tab and clicked on download option. So this will download a public key that needs to be uploaded on the ABM portal. This is required for authenticating the integration that we are just initiating now. So I have logged into my ABM portal, and on the bottom left corner, I'm going to click on settings and then click on device management settings. Here I will be able to see an option called add MDM server. Once I click on add MDM server, I will have the provision to go ahead and provide the name of the server and upload the public key that I had just downloaded here. So I'm just going to do that now. So as you can see here, I have entered the name of the server and uploaded the public key as well. So once I do that, I can click on save. And as you can see here, the new server has been added into the ABM portal. Now I need to download the token and upload it back on the MDM server to complete the integration process. Once you try downloading the server token, you will receive a warning message. This is to let you know that in case you download a new server token, you will have to upload that and the previous one will not be applicable anymore. So I'm just going to quickly download the server token. And as you can see here, I have uploaded it back on my MDM portal. And I'm just going to quickly upload it. And here, there are a few settings that I want you to pay attention to. So here, you will be able to authenticate and auto-assign users. This will allow you to leave the user assignment in the hands of the users. So once they activate the device, they will be able to use their Active Directory credentials to complete the device activation and assignment. You can also choose to skip the initial setup steps on these devices. This way, immediately after turning on the device, it would be ready for use. So I'm just going to click on create. And as you can see here, the server has been automatically added. So the integration is completed now. My next step is to go ahead and add devices on my ABM portal. Now there are two ways that this can be done. One is you can add your reseller information directly into the ABM portal. This will ensure that the next time you purchase any devices from these particular resellers, they will be automatically added into the ABM portal. And once they are added, it will be available in your MDM server as well for management. So there will be absolutely no admin intervention required for bringing these devices under management. So let me first show you how you can add the reseller information. So all you need to do is click on device purchases and add your reseller ID. So once the reseller information has been added, just click on save. So as you can see here, we have added the reseller information in the ABM portal. Now that we have that out of the way, what happens to the devices that I have already purchased from these resellers? I can go ahead and manually upload the information on the ABM portal by clicking on device assignments. Here I will have three options to add this information. One, I can add the serial number of all the devices that I have purchased, or choose the order number of my purchase, or I can also choose to upload a CSV file with the serial number information available in it. Right now, I will show you how you can add a single device here. So I've chosen the serial number option and entered the serial number of my device. Here I have chosen under action, assign to server, and selected the server that I had just created. So I have entered that and now I have clicked on done. Once you do that, the assignment is completed and the device will be available on your server. So let me show you what you need to do to activate these devices. So once the device is available in your server, you can go ahead and turn it on. And once you turn it on, you will receive an information saying that your particular organization is trying to configure your iPhone. The user will have no option to skip this step, which will mean that the device mandatorily comes into management. And another benefit I would like to point out here is that even if the user factory resets this device, the device automatically comes back into management. So now the configuration is being installed from the device. And as you can see here, since we chose to skip all of the initial setup steps, the device is ready to be used. Now, there is one tiny detail left to complete the enrollment process, which is the user assignment. So now the user assignment, as I had already told you, can either be automated and left in the hands of the user or can be completed manually by the IT admin as well. So now that we had enrolled these devices using the ABM portal, I'm just going to click on Apple Enrollment. And here, all of these devices that I had just enrolled will be listed and they will say awaiting user assignment. So either I can manually choose to click on assign user and add the user details, that is the username, the group that I want to assign this device to, and the name of this particular device. So once I do that, this device will get assigned to that user and will be moved to the devices tab that is available here. I can also choose to assign your users in bulk by downloading this entire page as a CSV file, making the required modifications and uploading it back again. Doing so will automatically assign all of these devices to my users that I had selected. So this completes the Apple Business Manager enrollment. Now, the next point to discuss is the zero touch enrollment. This enrollment method is also pretty similar to the ABM method that we had just discussed. The only difference being that the portals are a little different, and so is the integration process. So let me first start off with the integration steps. So on the zero touch portal, you need to go ahead and click on configurations. Here you will find a list of all the configurations that you have created and also a plus button to add new configuration. So I'm just going to click on the plus button right here, and I will have the details available, so I can provide the new configuration name and ensure that the EMM DPC is selected as ManageEngine MDM. There is also a field called DPC extras that needs to be filled. So this information is available on the MDM server. So let me quickly go back to the MDM server and show you how you can find this information. So on the MDM server, navigate to Zero Touch Enrollment. Once you do that, you will have this information available here. So I'm just going to click on Start and click on Zero Touch Enrollment Steps. So as you can see here, this is the DPC extras that needs to be copied. So I'm just going to click on Copy, and this will be pasted right here under the DPC extras. Then I need to provide the company name and contact email address. Once I click on Apply, as you can see here, the configuration is available on my portal. Now, the next thing I need to do, similar to the ABM portal, is go ahead and add the reseller ID in the resellers tab. I can also manually upload the device information by clicking on the devices tab right here and uploading a CSV file with all the serial numbers of my devices. So now let us see what happens on the device end once these devices are activated. So as you can see here, the device will let you know that it is being configured and will be managed using ManageEngine MDM. So I'm just going to click on accept and continue, and it will set it up as a work device, or essentially a corporate device that has to be managed by a MDM solution. And once you do that, the enrollment will be successful. Now, in similar to the ABM enrollment method, the user assignment process also needs to be done in zero touch enrollment. Here as well, you can go ahead and automate that process by clicking on the user option right here. So once you do that, you will be able to ask your users to enter the directory credentials and complete the user assignment. Also, you can add these devices to specific groups to simplify the onboarding process and distribute the required apps, profiles, and documents to these devices. Now, this brings me to the end of the different enrollment methods that I wanted to discuss with you today. Now, as you can see here, we discussed 4 enrollment methods, which is the enrollment by invites, self-enrollment, ABM enrollment, and zero-touch enrollment. In addition to these enrollment methods, Mobile Device Manager Plus has a few other enrollment methods that will help ease the enrollment process. But I would not be able to cover the rest of these enrollment methods today. So in case you are interested in any of these other enrollment methods, please let us know in chat. We will be able to schedule a personalized demo for you free of cost. So let us move on to the next section of today, which is provisioning mobile devices. So as we all know, once these devices have been enrolled, the next step is to ensure that they are ready to access your corporate data. Most organizations have a required set of compliance policies or regulations that need to be met when these devices access corporate data. Some of it includes having a strict secure passcode on the device, having VPN access, and even connecting to a particular Wi-Fi configuration to access your corporate data. With Mobile Device Manager Plus, you can go ahead and simplify all of this process and ensure that these requirements are met before accessing your corporate data. So let me show you how you guys can do that using Mobile Device Manager Plus. So I'm going to go back to my console and click on Device Management. So in this tab, I have something called the Profiles option, which is nothing but a group of configurations and restrictions that can be applied on these devices. So I'm going to quickly click on Profiles. And here, create a profile. So let me create an Apple profile for the first example. So I'm just going to click on Continue right here. So as you can see on the left pane, you will be able to view the list of all the profiles that are supported for Apple devices. And the first example I want to start with is the passcode policy. So here you can select the various configurations that are required for a passcode. So in case you want the passcode to have alphanumeric values, you can go ahead and do that as well. And you can choose the minimum passcode length that is required. So if a user sets a passcode which has less than 6 characters, it will not be accepted by the device. You can also choose the number of special characters that must be included in the passcode that the user sets. One important policy I would like to bring your attention to is the maximum number of failed attempts. What this does is once you select a number, say 5, so when a user enters an incorrect password 5 consecutive times, the device will automatically be factory reset and all the data on that device will be wiped. So while this adds security to your corporate data, we recommend you to use this particular configuration wisely. Also, once a passcode has been set, you can restrict the users from setting a passcode as well. So once based on that option, the user will not be able to modify the passcode that you had just set. Now, in certain cases, like when these devices are used as digital signage or as POS devices, you would not want a passcode to be set on these devices. So you can even select the passcode removal option and ensure that the user cannot set a passcode on these devices. So once that is done, the device will not have a passcode and can be continued to be used without it. In my case, that is not what I require. So I'm just going to set these as my passcode requirements and click on save. One thing to remember is once you click on save, only the selected options will be saved. The profile needs to be published for it to be ready for applying to your end devices. Now, how to apply a profile to your devices? So you need to go navigate to the Groups and Devices tab, and here navigate to the Devices tab as well. I always recommend my users to first test out the configuration before applying it to your production environment. This ensures that there are no mishaps once you apply a profile to your production environment, and you can ensure that the profile works just the way you want before doing so. So I'm just going to click on go ahead and filter out the device type platform that I want. So this particular profile that I had just created is an Apple profile. So I can go ahead and apply this particular profile that I had just created. So as you can see here, I have just selected the profile that I had just created and I'm going to click on select. Once I click on select, the profile gets automatically applied to these devices. Let me show you what happens on the device end once this profile has been applied. So as you can see here, the user will be notified to change their passcode in case it does not meet the requirements set by the organization. If the organization's passcode requirements are met by the device, the user will not be prompted to change their passcode. So once the user sets the passcode, this prompt will be disabled. Now, let us assume that you feel that 6 is not a stringent enough passcode and you want to go ahead and modify it. So all you need to do is go to the Profiles tab, select the profiles that you're looking to modify, and under Actions, click on Modify Profile. Go back and continue and go make the required changes. So I'm going to make it an 8-character long passcode, save and publish the profile. One thing to keep in mind here is just publishing the profile will not update it on the devices. This is just to ensure that these devices, you have another layer of control over the profiles that are applied to these devices. So go back to groups and devices and redistribute this profile to your users. After testing, if you realize that, okay, this particular profile is working just the way I want it, you can go ahead and distribute it to your users. So select the group to which you want to distribute this profile to, and under actions, click on associate profile. This will go ahead and associate the profile to your devices. Now that we have seen how a passcode policy works, let me show you what are the other profiles that you can configure for your devices. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly create a new policy. So let me show you a trick on how you can create profiles quickly. So click on this lightning button right here and select iOS profile. This will automatically create an iOS profile on the device. So I'm just going to click on continue. And here, the first configuration that we will do is the Wi-Fi configuration. So here, you will have to provide the Wi-Fi SSID to which you want your devices to connect to. So first, let me put it as Zilker Corp. And then I can go ahead and select the security type. So based on the security type that I have configured, I will be asked to configure the required settings. Now, once you save this profile with all the required details, let me just save it as none for now and go ahead and save this profile. I will also have an option to add another Wi-Fi configuration right here. This is to ensure that even if the device cannot connect to one particular Wi-Fi, it can always connect to the other Wi-Fis that are listed in this particular profile. So I'm just going to click on add another Wi-Fi configuration and connect to another device. So this is Corp2. So now I have provided the second Wi-Fi SSID and I'm going to click on save. So as you can see here, 2 Wi-Fi configurations have been readied in a single profile. Moving forward, I also want to configure a VPN for my devices. So here I can go ahead and click on the VPN option and choose the different VPN types that I'm using in my organization. So as you can see here, Mobile Device Manager Plus can allow you to configure VPNs using any of these types. So once you do that, provide the required information about the VPN that you have just configured. Another important aspect of this particular profile is that you can also configure VPN on demand. So what this does is anytime a particular application or a domain is accessed, the VPN gets automatically created. So this reduces the user intervention in actually going and enabling the VPN connection before accessing your corporate data. Now that I have taken care of adding a VPN for all of my domains and browser, I need to add the VPN for my applications as well. This is required because sometimes a user might use this VPN network while accessing their corporate personal information as well. So instead, I will be just selecting a few applications for which a VPN needs to be configured. So I'm going to specify the apps that require this VPN, and I will automatically enable the VPN when they connect using these particular applications. I can select the VPN type that I want to use and the various authentication settings as well. So once all of this information is available, you can go ahead and configure other settings as well. So now we have something called the Exchange Active Sync. Exchange is the most commonly used email platform in organizations. And that is why you will be able to configure either Exchange Online or Exchange on-premises accounts using Mobile Device Manager Plus. But one question that might arise in your mind is that an email account or is user specific. So how does MDM handle this? So this is taken care of by dynamic variables. So instead of entering a particular username, you will be entering the dynamic variable %UPN%. This will ensure that the username is fetched from the information that was provided during the enrollment process and assign that to the particular device and ready the configuration. So as you can see here, all of this is configured, saved, and I can go ahead and publish this particular profile. So go ahead and distribute it just as I had shown you while creating the passcode policy. So now it's time to move to the next segment of the session today, how to secure corporate data on personal devices. So to do that, first let us see how the different kind of data breaches usually occur in an organization. When corporate data is shared between devices, or when this corporate data is stored on third-party cloud services which are not authorized by your organization, or when even in a single device, when this corporate data is being accessed by personal applications. So all these are the main reasons of a data breach in organizations. And the simplest solution to handle all of these data breaches is containerization. So with containerization, what you can do is you can ensure that there is a container-like setup that segregates your personal and corporate workspace. So one single device will have two segments, one where the personal apps are available and one where your corporate app and corporate data is stored. Now, when it comes to Android devices, this particular containerization setup is automatically created once these devices are enrolled either using invites or self-enrollment. Thereby, all of this corporate data that is distributed upon enrollment gets automatically sent into the corporate workspace. This corporate workspace is designated by a briefcase symbol. So as you can see in this image, a few of the applications have been marked with a briefcase symbol, ensuring that they are corporate applications. Whereas in the case of iOS devices, that is not the case. Now let me explain that to you with an example. So assuming I am trying to access a corporate email document on my mobile device. Once I click on the email attachment, I will have an option to either airdrop that particular email attachment or open it using my personal applications. And I also have a list of corporate applications that can be used to access this particular email attachment. So this increases the chances of a data breach in organizations. Now, with Mobile Device Manager Plus, you can create a container-like setup even on iOS devices. So let me show you how you can do that. So this container-like setup is achieved with the help of restrictions. So to create a restriction, you will again have to go to the Profiles tab and click on iOS profile. So now that I have created a new profile, I am going to navigate to the Restrictions tab. And here, the first thing I will be blocking access to is AirDrop. So once I restrict the AirDrop application, no data can be shared via AirDrop, and this complete setup will be unavailable for the user. I will also be restricting the camera and screenshots and screen recording on my device. This will ensure that I cannot take screenshots of any corporate data and share it to your devices. In addition to this, you have other device functionalities that can also be disabled based on your organization's requirement. I'm going to click on the Security tab, and please pay attention to these particular restrictions because they are the ones that help in creating the container-like setup. So disable this particular option where you can share data from managed tabs to unmanaged tabs. Once you do that, there will be no communication between the applications that have been distributed using MDM and the ones that have been installed by your employees. You can also choose to restrict the reverse communication as well. That means no data can be shared from your personal applications to your corporate application. This ensures that any malware, if present on your devices, cannot access your corporate data as well. So once you have made all of these settings available, click on Advanced Settings. So here as well, you have different options available based on your requirements. So in my case, I will be moving forward and disabling this particular option where allow iTunes pairing and other USB connections. So I do not want a USB to be connected to my device as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and disable that option as well. You have under network and roaming, you have an option to restrict Bluetooth communication as well and ensure that the device does not utilize a Bluetooth as well. Similarly, there are other restrictions that you guys can configure based on your organization's requirements. So Mobile Device Manager Plus allows completely configurable profile creations based on your organization's requirement. So once you apply these configurations on the devices, let me show you what happens on the device. So this is how an attachment opens when no containerization policy has been applied. But once the policy has been applied, as you can see here, the option to use Dropbox and your other third-party cloud services or personal application has been removed, along with the option to airdrop any of this content, which means only the corporate applications can access your email attachments and thereby secure corporate data. So this is how you can secure your corporate data on your devices. As I was telling you, another important aspect of security is securing access to your corporate emails from unauthorized devices. And that can be achieved using conditional exchange access. So conditional exchange access will allow access to your corporate exchange account only from devices that are already enrolled with MDM. And if there is a device that is not enrolled with MDM, the access will be immediately revoked from these devices. So how does conditional exchange access work? The first thing is you need to integrate your exchange account with the MDM server. This gives us the power to monitor the devices that are accessing your corporate exchange account and based on their enrollment status, either grant or revoke access. Based on this, we will be creating a conditional access policy that will be applied to all of your devices. And once that is done, only the devices enrolled with MDM can access your exchange server. So let us start off with the integration process. You will have to go to the conditional exchange access policy and click on exchange host type. Here also you can configure both exchange online and exchange on premises. So I'm just going to click on exchange online and provide the server name and other details. So I will be providing information about the username and password and click on next. Once I do that, all of my details will be fetched and will be displayed on this particular console. So as you can see, I will be able to see the number of devices that are currently accessing my Exchange account. And I will also be able to configure a new access policy. So I'm just going to click on configure now. And as you can see here, I have an option to apply this policy on all the users who are accessing my Exchange or only a few selected user. I would recommend you to first apply this policy to a selected group of users, test it out, and then go ahead and apply it to all of your users. Now there is an option called grace period. Let me explain this in a little detail. So once you apply this policy, Mobile Device Manager Plus will check all the devices that are accessing Exchange at that point of time. Now, if there is a device that is not enrolled with MDM, the access will be immediately revoked. This might hamper your business model at a particular time, and that is why we allow you to provide a grace period during which the users can continue accessing the Exchange even if the device is not enrolled with MDM. But after the grace period ends on these devices, the access will immediately be revoked and will not be provided till the devices are enrolled again. Now, how does the user enroll these devices for getting their access? They will have to use their self-enrollment URL or the self-enrollment portal to complete the enrollment process. So once I click on apply policy, this policy will be applied and to all of my devices as well. So as you can see here, now I'm able to view all the devices that are currently accessing my Exchange along with the status, whether they have access or they have been blocked access for Exchange. So now this brings me to the last section of today's session, which is scenarios and solutions. My first scenario is, can we enroll devices not purchased from authorized resellers into Apple Business Manager? Even though I had mentioned that purchasing devices from authorized reseller is mandatory for enrolling using ABM, Apple has provided us with a workaround using Apple Configurator. So Apple Configurator is another enrollment method that is supported by MDM. So if you're interested to know more about this particular enrollment method or any other enrollment method that was not covered in today's session, please let us know in chat. We will be able to schedule a demo for you. So let me tell you the major step while enrolling this device that needs to be paid attention to. So when you open Apple Configurator and create a blueprint, you will see an option called Add to Device Enrollment Program upon selecting Manual Configuration. So once you do that and provide your ABM credentials, any devices, all of these devices will get added to your ABM portal as well. And there are a few other steps that will be required to complete the enrollment process. So even though it is a prerequisite to purchase devices from authorized resellers, there is a workaround available for managing these devices using ABM. So scenario 2, I want to leverage the benefits of zero-touch enrollment, but some of my devices are not supported. How do I enroll these devices? Okay, again, there is a different enrollment method called the EMM token enrollment, which needs to be performed on the devices. One thing that you need to do is, if it's a device that is already in use, that will have to be factory reset, and upon activation, when in the place where you enter your Google ID, you will have to enter the DPC identifier. The DPC identifier for ManageEngine MDM is AFW#MEMDM. Once you enter this, we will know that we are trying to manage these devices using Mobile Device Manager Plus, and hence the app gets automatically installed on these devices. And once that is done, you will have to scan a QR code to complete the enrollment process. So just click on the scan QR code option. And let me show you the QR code that needs to be scanned on the devices. So I'm just going to navigate back into my console and go to the Enrollment tab. So in this Enrollment tab, there is an option called the EMM token enrollment. So as you can see here, I have clicked on the EMM token enrollment. And once I do that, I will be able to scan the EMM token QR code. So this is the QR code that needs to be scanned on the devices to complete the enrollment process. My third scenario is, what happens when two contradictory profiles are applied to a device? The functioning of the answer to this question depends on the OS type that you are looking for. So now, in case you apply a contradictory profile to an iOS device, for example, let's say in one of the profiles you have disabled camera And the second profile, you have enabled the camera on these devices. In that case, the most stringent policy, which is the disabled camera, will be applied to the devices. Whereas in the case of Android, the policy that was recently applied will be given precedence. How can we ensure users connect only to the Wi-Fi distributed using MDM? This is pretty simple and can be configured by creating a profile. So let me go to an Android profile and click on continue. So here I will have to navigate to the restrictions tab and go to network and roaming. So as you can see here, you have an option called connect to Wi-Fi only if distributed via MDM. So I need to enable this option. One thing you need to keep in mind before enabling this restriction is that the user must have a Wi-Fi configured on these devices via MDM. If that is not done, the device might lose contact to the MDM server. How can we prevent sensitive corporate content from being displayed on the device lock screen? So in a lot of cases, the users would want not want their sensitive information to be displayed on the lock screen. So that can be disabled by using a simple restriction. So again, on the Android console, navigate to the security section of the restrictions. Here you have an option called lock screen notification preference. Here you can choose between three options. Either you can show all the notification on the devices, you can choose to not show any notification at all on the lock screen, or you can choose to just hide the sensitive content on these notifications. So which means you will be notified that there is a new notification on the device, but no other information will be displayed. So this brings me to the end of my training session today. In case you found this informative, please rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. I also would request you to spread a word about these training sessions in case you enjoyed them. The next training is scheduled for app management and device security on April 21st, the same time. Thank you and have a nice day.